What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail, you know what you're getting into when you click this video. We're talking about a high compliment factor for the fall. Now, I got 8 specific fragrances that, due to previous experience, these are going to be the ones, at least from what I've gathered and, situations I've been in, they have a pretty high probability. There's no guarantees, no fragrance is a guaranteed compliment getter, but some have a particular smell and profile that are just more attractive to more people, therefore raising the probability and creating a high compliment factor. So let's dive into these 8, because price points all over the place, but the compliments are not. You might get some, so let's talk about them. Stay tuned. The fragrance that made this topic come up in the first place, I plan on wearing this after the gym later today. The least, I don't want to say liked, but least appreciated of the Eros fragrances. This is Versace Eros Parfum. So what's different about the Parfum from the Eau de Parfum? Because the Eau de Parfum gets a lot of love. Flame gets tons of love. Hell, the EDT, it's the icon, right? Eros Energy is too new to throw into this. But with this one, it does have more of an amber ambroxan type of profile than the others. It is warmer. It is that minty apple, vanilla, aromatic. Like, it's still Eros. But the amber accord here is heightened greatly. Woody nuance as well. Very ambery, woody. And again, very noticeable ambroxan in this one. I believe they list it in this one. I don't remember if it's listed in EDP or not. It might be, but I'm pretty sure it's listed in here as well. This one's more of a, I guess for lack of a better term, that synthetic amberwood note that gets used a lot in designer fragrances. That's what's going on here with some additional ambroxan. So for being a parfum, normally they're smoother than the others, and as it dries down, it definitely is the smoother of the bunch. But in the opening, it's actually a little bit more synthetic and chemical smelling than the Eau de Parfum, which was very surprising the first time I smelled it. I was thinking, based on my track record with designer parfums, this would have been my favorite one. Actually, not the case. Not a bad fragrance, pretty damn good fragrance. Again, I plan on wearing it today. But the funny thing is that even though I'm like, oh, the EDP is a little bit better, not according to those around me. And the times I've worn this, which got a little bit of a dent, not every time I've worn it I've gotten a compliment, but more times than not. Because I typically wear these when I'm out in the wear Eros of some form or fashion when I'm out in the world, having places to go, seeing people. Obviously, in situations like that, when you're around others, probability for a compliment goes up. And every time I've put this in said situations, it has produced said compliment. More times than not. Not every time, but more times than not. So you never know which one's going to be a great compliment getter. In my experience, all of them can pull the trick as far as this DNA, but I know something about this one seems to do it better than the others, and you would think the EDP would be the one, but no. Based on my experience, it's Eros Parfum. No denying this particular scent DNA. It's highly attractive. This particular version of it is intensified both in performance and the profile is intensified. It's a more aggressive take on the DNA. You get warm spices, you get a hefty suede, you get some oud, you still get the lemon, you still get the fruits. It is intense Cedrat from Mancera, a monster performer that if you think is weak, it's because your nose is fatiguing to it. Mine does the same thing. Within 20 minutes tops, my nose fades to this one. Then it'll come back to life a few hours later like I just sprayed it, because it's crazy strong. This sillage, this lingers. It hangs in the air everywhere you go. Everyone around you is going to smell you. That helps to raise the probability. Get that compliment factor way up, because the more people that can smell you, the more possibilities there are when it comes to somebody wanting to say, God, that smells great. Not always going to happen, but this one definitely has the ability to pull it in better than the original. The original is super high compliment factor in my experience, and many others that I know that enjoy it. But the intense, that performance, man, does that give it some extra attributes when it comes to raising the possibility. So if that kind of stuff's important to you, you want people to think you smell good, Don't get me wrong, the original is iconic, but the power and potency of the Intense raises its compliment factor. This type of profile just works. The masses love this profile. My wife loves this profile. It's Gisada Ambassador. It's of the vein of the Sauvages of the world. More tropical fruity at the top. Nice metallic tone to the way the lavender comes across, woods and musk, a little bit of greens and so on. But it's that fruitiness at the top to go with that shower gel-like smell. And it's got great performance. That's another thing, like we discussed previously. Performance is going to play a big role, because if no one can smell you, chances of a compliment are zero. But when all those around you can smell you, probability goes up. Stuff like this, highly attractive, easy to wear, so easy to like and understand that it can go with everything. It really can. It's not the most serious fragrance, but it's not the most juvenile, youthful, playful thing out there either. It's not that type of sweet, but man, this stuff, so good. It's tempting to wear this one today when I sniff on it, because I'm a sucker for it myself. I quite enjoy it. I prefer it to the newest version, Platinum, as well, which is great. All three that have this bottle, both Ambassadors and Platinum, are phenomenal. But Gisada Ambassador Intense, great fragrance as well. But if I got to pick one, it's the versatility of this one. Again, this one, like I said, easy to understand because it just works with everything, and super highly likable. And that's Gisada Ambassador. This entire fragrance line is known for, you know, having a strong compliment factor. This one in particular, it's the one I've worn the most, ergo it's the one I've gotten the most compliments with. It's Club de Nuit Intense Man, limited edition, Parfum. Smooths out that over-the-top chemically synthetic lemon note in the top of the EDT. It's still there, but it's smoother and better. Still smoky magic, citrus, fruity, musky, a little sweet, but again, very dark and smoky, ambery. Just a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. I still say this is the best of the bunch. It's my favorite Armaf fragrance. There's no two ways about it. In the vein of Aventus, but not one-to-one. It's an Aventus twist more than it is an Aventus clone, in my opinion. And it is a damn good one. If you've never tried this, don't just judge it based on sniffing it up close on yourself. Judge that beautiful aroma out in the air, because that's where the magic happens. Again, there's a reason I nicknamed it Smoky Magic, because it is just that when it comes to pulling compliments. It's Club de Nuit Intense Man, limited edition Parfum. Now, speaking of Aventus, this is Mont Blanc's version. We're talking Explorer. Now, yeah, I think it smells good, but do I think it smells as good as other people will make you believe? And what do I mean by that? Like, the compliment factor is very, like, ridiculously, obnoxious almost high, obnoxiously high, that so many people love the way this smells. And I don't just mean the wearer, I mean those around you. In my experience, high compliment factor, and all the feedback I've seen from a lot of people, it's their most complimented and or one of their most complimented fragrances. There's something so intoxicating and alluring to others about this profile. I don't know what it is that's so special, because when it comes to things that kind of smell like Aventus, because it's not a direct clone, it's inspired by. Like, I wouldn't put this in the top 5 or even the top 10 of things that are kind of, you know, inspired by the Aventus profile, that have their twists and their differences to make them their own thing. I don't know if this would make my top 10, but when you factor in what everyone else thinks, it's elite tier. It just is. It's crazy how that works. It's a year-round fragrance. This one does dress up pretty well. Also, it's on the synthetic side. You got bergamot. You have this darker woody element to it that gives kind of this leathery, tart, dark fruity facet. Like, it's got elements and accords that tie it to Aventus without being Aventus. And it's a pretty good performer in my experience, and pretty affordable. Really good performer, but not beast. Some people say it's weak. I think it's anosmia. Some people say it's a beast. They definitely don't get anosmia. I kind of fall somewhere in between, around 6 hours, but for a good hour and a half, 2 hours, you can sure smell me. I can sure smell me. It's kind of like iconic at this point for getting compliments. It's Mont Blanc Explorer. Now, this particular fragrance line in general has a high compliment factor, so I just picked my favorite of the bunch is what it comes down to, because all of them I've gotten compliments from literally all of them except for Only. That's the only, pun intended, one that I've never gotten a compliment from, other than my wife, of course, but because my wife likes the entire line too. But we're talking Armani Strong With You. This is Strong With You leather. Insert flanker of the line here. Absolutely, intensely, oud, whatever, amber. The newest one, tobacco. It don't matter. They're all good. Freeze. They're all good. They all have a high compliment factor. Like I said, I've gotten compliments from, others with every single one of them except for Only. The only compliments I've ever gotten is my wife on that one. I also haven't worn that one much. It's the one I've worn the least of the bunch. So this one, you get an aromatic, sweet, spice, roasted chestnut kind of thing going with this soft brown leather accord. That's what I like so much about this one. It is the original plus a soft brown leather accord. It's got this kind of fiery, hot cinnamon spice type of smell. That roasted chestnut really gives it some depth and some character in this profile. I think that's one of the things that's most attractive to me personally about this line. And I don't know, I think what plays a role in raising the compliment factor in something is when you're so into a fragrance, the way you present is elevated versus other fragrances, because it raises your confidence level when you're really into what you're wearing, whether it's the ensemble, the outfit, those new monk straps you're rocking that you're super excited about, got the new fragrance, you really got a nice Hamilton watch you just got your hands on, and you're feeling good, you like what you're wearing, you throw that fragrance on top that you just can't get enough of, your confidence level goes through the roof. I give all these different examples because it's more than just a fragrance that can do that for you. And aside from the visual, what's going to be the next thing that people notice about you? If you're wearing a really good fragrance, they're going to notice that really good fragrance. So the probability of getting a compliment is through the roof at that point. And for me personally, this particular DNA does that for me. All those examples I gave for that scenario, this DNA does that for me. So Strong With You leather. Again, it goes for this entire line, but I had to think back when it comes to this season, the autumn season, which one's gotten me the most compliments in recent memory? Now, is it all time in this line? I'm not sure, but in recent memory for the Spicebomb line, it's Infrared Eau de Toilette. In the last couple of years, for the autumn season, this is definitely the one. If I'm looking, I'm not always out there fishing for compliments or anything. I'm actually never doing that. I just love wearing stuff and smelling it on myself. But when I get a compliment, it's noteworthy. It makes me feel good. It's great talking points for these conversations we have on video. And it's just a likable fragrance. It just is. It's got this pink pepper that gives it this aromatic sweetness. It's an aromatic sweet spice. You get red peppers besides pink pepper in here. It's an ambery, woody type of fragrance. Man, this is just so good. It's got a youthfulness to it, but it's also got a somewhat semi-serious type of vibe because it's so peppery. But man, this is just so attractive. It really is. This is a beautiful fragrance. I think dinner dates year-round this works. This even works in summer evenings. I've always said that about this fragrance. I think when it comes to summer evenings, this is probably the best Spicebomb that's on the market. But in the fall season, day or night, if you're the type that likes the spicy fragrances, like I do, this stuff just works. This stuff just works. And it really gets out in the air. Like I said, it's a very bright and airy, aromatic type of profile with all the lovability and likability of the spice, that peppered spice DNA of the original, with some added sweetness. That pink pepper, a good pink pepper note that's prominent in an opening can go a long way. Pink pepper, it makes a fragrance better. So, and it definitely does it with this one, Spicebomb Infrared Eau de Toilette. Now, I want to tell you this here now. This fragrance is an absolute cheat code. You can wear this year-round. I always give the example of wearing this on hikes during the summer in Colorado. Done it multiple times. Nose fatigue's a real issue with this one. Every time I talk about it, somebody wants to comment, "Nah, bro, I'm telling you, my girl couldn't smell it." Nah, man, it really is weak. Okay. I'm not going to continue to argue with people about nose fatigue and the way the receptors in your nose work and all that good stuff. I'm going to start interviewing perfumers to tell y'all, and maybe y'all will believe them. Because this fragrance is not weak. This fragrance lingers in the air. This fragrance has crazy longevity, and it is my favorite version of the DNA. It is Sauvage Parfum. This stuff is an absolute cheat code. This is my big 200 milliliter bottle. Now, all of the DNA. All of them are known for getting compliments for people. High compliment factor profile. Sauvage. It just is. No matter how you feel about it, facts are facts. And people get a lot of compliments wearing different versions of Sauvage. But for me, this is the best of the bunch for a multitude of reasons. I think it's actually more versatile for my personality and my taste than any other version. That's the main reason I like it. I love the way it smells. It's the resinous, smoky version of the profile. It doesn't lose that metallic shower gel freshness of the first two, the Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum, without getting over the top spicy like the Elixir. It just, there's a little bit of citrus here. You have woods, it's aromatic. It still smells like Sauvage, but smoother, refined Sauvage. This stuff really does project. Kind of hardcore. And people think, like I'm telling you, there's going to be splits because this is the last one, so it's the end of the video. So there's people, you'll know who watched the end to the end of the video because that's who's going to be commenting on this. There's going to be people that come in the comments and agree completely with me on the way it performs and the compliments they get from it. Then there's going to be people that first part of the example, nah, man, I'm telling you it's weak, man. I don't know why you want to keep arguing. I don't want to argue. I am not an instructor. I am not a perfumer. I am not an ear, nose, and throat doctor. But that's just how it is with our noses and our sense of smell and the way it works. This stuff is not a weak fragrance. If more than half the people you see comment on it talk about its strength, and the other half, or less than half, or even more than half sometimes, it depends on where you're looking, say that it's weak, it's nose fatigue. Unless everyone is saying the same thing, like Spicebomb Dark Leather, that is a weak fragrance. Yep, we can all agree that's a weak fragrance. That's not the case here. This is spectacular. If you're looking for compliments, if you're looking for a smoother version of Sauvage that's not crazy spicy like the Elixir, because not everybody's a huge fan of the Elixir. I think it's great, but it's not my favorite. This is my favorite, and this is also one of the more complimented fragrances in my collection. And I know it's not just because of how the fragrance smells or how the fragrance performs, because of how the fragrance makes me feel. That's a key factor into looking approachable, being in a good mood, giving off that magnetism that some people require to even want to approach you in the first place. Because more times than not, you're not going to get a compliment. But when you're wearing fragrances like Sauvage Parfum, it goes right back to the topic of this video. It raises that compliment factor. Again, that's Dior Sauvage Parfum. Well, that was the 8. That's not the only ones that can do the trick. That's just the ones that I felt really deserved the spotlight here, that for the topic fit perfectly based on my experience, my taste, my life, and my situations I've been in the past. So I hope this video was enjoyable for some of you. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe before you leave. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Y'all have a good one.